I'm a bad motherfucker.
That's Jimmy.
I reported on this last week, but now Live Science is reporting on this. Cancer-causing chemical found in 78 sunscreen products.
Thank God I never wear it.
There's only, first of all, again, as we reported, the kind of cancer that kills you, the most deadly cancer, melanoma, you don't get it from the sun. And the kind that you get from the sun most often is called basal cell carcinoma. 5 years after it's diagnosed, 100% survival rate. So they conflate the Dermatology Association now for money is conflating the deadly cancer with the least deadly cancer, basal cell carcinoma.
Wait.
And so you get basal cell from the sun, but you don't get melanoma from the sun. So
wait, didn't we watch AOC?
Yes, she
saying
did.
We need to relax our sunscreen standards.
Yes,
because they're business killing.
Yes,
she didn't get that done, did she? Because that's really bad. If it was like this, and she actually made us they could put more camo. That's not what it is.
So
is
there's
it?
two different kinds of sunscreen. There's the kind that blocks the sun, that has zinc, like the zinc that blocks the sun. That is not toxic. But then the rest of it is pretty toxic. So. Well, here it is. They talk about the independent lab that made the finding is calling on the FDA to recall these products. But we've known this for a long time. There's places in Hawaii where you're not allowed to go in the water if you're wearing sunscreen because it'll kill the coral. So if a diluted form of it in water will kill the coral, what do you think it's doing to you? So an independent testing lab has detected the chemical benzene, a known human carcinogen, in 78 sunscreen products. And is now calling on the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to recall the products. The lab, Valisure, checks medications and healthcare products for quality. Recently, the company tested nearly 300 sunscreen products and found that 27% contained benzene.
Well, sure, it's on the label, right?
I'm telling you, your fear of the sun is misplaced. The fear you don't go get a sunburn, but don't be afraid of the sun. Okay. 14 of the products, 5%, contain benzene at levels higher than 2 parts per million, which is the FDA's recommended limit for benzene in medically valuable drugs that can't be made without it. So do you understand what this what this is saying? They're saying the FDA says, okay, if you have to make it, if the only way to make this drug that is medically necessary is to include benzene, you can't go beyond 2 parts per million. Well, and that's for a medically necessary medicine. And there's no other way to make it. The FDA says, okay, I'll let you put 2 parts per million. But they're putting it in sunscreen. The presence of this known human carcinogen in products widely recommended for the prevention of skin cancer and that are regularly used by adults and children is very troubling. Exposure to high levels of benzene causes cancer in humans, particularly blood cancer, including leukemia. The U.S. occupation, so OSHA, is that what that is? Yeah, OSHA limits workplace exposure to benzene in the air at 1 part per million on an average day and a maximum of 5 parts per million over a 15-minute period. That's according to the Cancer Society. The EPA limits benzene in drinking water to 0.005 parts per million or 5 parts per billion, which is also the limit for bottled water. The FDA says that benzene should not be used in the manufacturing of drug products except in special circumstances, mainly if their use is unavoidable and the drug product makes a significant therapeutic advance. In these cases, benzene levels should be limited to 2. I just explained that to you. In the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, get this, Kurt Mexican, when there was a shortage of hand sanitizer, the FDA temporarily allowed hand sanitizers to contain up to 2 parts per million of benzene.
I don't understand how, so we don't have enough. Like, go ahead and just get that chemical and make more with that? Is that, we got to dilute it with a poison?
But in March of 2021, Valisure announced they had detected benzene above 2 parts per million in nearly 24 hand sanitizer products, at least one of which was later recalled. So you should go watch my last video I did on skin cancer and the scam that the Dermatology Association is pulling on you.
Is this a mistake, or is this like we deliberately hate you and want to kill you? Is this honestly like this is so above and beyond?
No, this is we'd rather make money than try to save you.
But you could even like make money. This
like they have the kind that doesn't have this stuff in it.
Yeah, like surely it just feels like, oh, I can make. It's like, no, I want to make money. It's more yes and for me. I want to make money and I want to kill you. Like I used to take it as incompetence and greed, and now I'm taking it as greed and pure malice.
Okay, over to Steph. Read some super chats.
I sure will, Jim Jam.
Rumble rants. I'm sorry.
You got it. It's super chats and rumble rants. Here we go. It's uncanny how similar Lindsey Graham and Hillary Clinton look. If you took the hair off Hillary, she looks exactly like Lindsey Graham. Facts. Okay, that's unvaccinated guy. Thank you for that.
I gotta look at that. I kind of remember him looking like her, but her face looks fatter than his. But I'm gonna look.
Janice Anderson, CPD has to include candidates who poll over 15% in 5 national polls. This is just to stop third parties from participating. Janice, Mr. J, thank you, Mr. J. Not hosting is to keep RFK Jr. I read that one. Okay, back to Jimmy.
So you know how they like to say, oh, those college students don't even know what they're protesting. They don't even know what they're protesting, Kurt. They don't even know what they're protesting.
Well, they definitely don't know what they're wearing. I'll give them that.
No, that's a bandana that she didn't tuck.
Oh, okay.
So here's a student, and this I think is at the Oxford University. I think it's in the UK. I think so. Let's listen. This is Kendall Gardner. She's Jewish. And you think she knows what she's protesting? A Jew protesting? Let's see.
Plans broadly start with disclosure and divestment. As of right now, students do not have access to where their money is going when they pay tuition fees to this university. So crucially, our first demand is full disclosure of financial investments.
Crucially about Israel, right?
Well, we want to know where all of the money is going. We think that that's key for students to know where their money is going, whether it's about Israel or not. But then, with this knowledge, we would like to pursue full divestment from 2 things. First, from all arms manufacturing companies. Whether it's the current genocide in Gaza or other armed conflict around the world, our university should not be investing in that. This is a situation where we should be learning and contributing to education and a safe community, not to international conflict. And secondly, we request and demand that the university divest from all holdings in any entities that sponsor or are complicit in Israeli occupation, apartheid, and the current genocide in Gaza. Additionally, we have boycott demands, key of which is the demand to stop banking with Barclays, which the university currently does. Barclays has been complicit in the architecture of Israeli apartheid, and so that's a key demand from the boycott, divestment, and sanctions global movement. And our last demand is that the university commits to a Palestinian-led rebuilding of the Gazan higher education sector.
Okay. So how much link up have you had with the...
Wow. Sounds like
She doesn't know anything.
What a dummy. She's just saying stuff she heard.
Barkley, who's that? The dog from Sesame Street? I don't know. You don't know nothing. Barclays. Wow. That sounded very specific and detailed.
It sounds pretty specific and detailed. Sounds like that the students actually do know what they're talking about.
So
no.
Jews are smart unless they talk against Israel. Then all of a sudden they're know-nothings. Isn't that something?
Isn't that something?
You'd want to hire them for anything unless they don't talk good about Israel.
Then they don't know anything.
All the stereotypes I held are gone.
So let's listen. There's more to this. This interviewer has a question.
The movement in the United States and with other student protests in the UK?
Yeah, so crucially, I mean, the US movement set off a global chain of reaction, and we're so excited to be a part of that and thankful to the US encampments for what they began. We've had a lot of support from them in terms of logistics, general comradeship, giving us tips and tricks. But really, the UK movement has also learned a lot from them in terms of how our goals are so similar. Although the US and the UK have different contexts, the UK government is similarly complicit in Israeli war crimes, and so too are our institutions of higher education. So we learned a lot from them in terms of our demands, how to engage with our governments, and how to mobilize students. In the UK, we also have really collaborated with other universities. Oxford is so proud to be launching in tandem with Cambridge. This is the first time in social movement history that Oxford and Cambridge have launched a campaign on the same day.
Wow. Well, and that's got 15.8 million views. That's almost as popular as a Joe Rogan episode. So a lot of people got to see her say that.
People
And
love
that's just
misinformation.
That's just on Twitter. And now you know why they want to ban TikTok.
Yeah.
So that's just 15.8 million views on Twitter, let alone what it got on TikTok.
But TikTok is not a bastion of free speech by any means.
No, by any means. And that's why they want to get rid of it. Here, kind of buck fucking wild that universities aren't already required to disclose the investment of their endowment to retain their nonprofit status in the United States and whatever the equivalent is in the UK.
I had an outburst during the video because I was like, wait, what do you mean reveal what weapons you're invested in?
Right?
Wait, what?
You would think they would have to do that to keep their nonprofit status.
So were they charging them out the ass for tuition and then spending that money also on the war machine?
Yes.
Is that possible?
Well, they're investing in the war machine.
Oh, they're just smart.
Yeah. So it turns out they do know. They do know what they're protesting.
Oh, all the important schools, okay? Everything good from that school goes first to the war machine. That's why they were established. They weren't there for you to become a sensitive liberal. The entire thing is to teach the managerial class how to lord it over the peasants in the future, and they were hoping to make them dumber, and it was working. It was working with wokeness. That's true. That trademark, copyright, whatever. But these kids now, like I said, October 7th killed that because these kids got fed a whole bunch of colonial this and that.
That's
and
right.
then all of a sudden, you're doing the exact same thing they heard was bad in front of their face and acting like you're not doing it and telling them they're stupid. And they're the ones that went to college.
And it's funny to see my right-wing friends, and I do mean friends, say that these college kids don't know what they're talking about. But they don't realize what they're doing is they're siding with the people they've hated for the last 20 years, saying that the administration of these colleges. They're saying that they're all bad, the professors, they're all woke, they're all this.
I get right-wingers saying it. Liberals are saying it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
liberals are right-wingers.
Already didn't
liberals
like the whole
are right-wingers.
Yeah.
They just like gay people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just log cabin Republicans.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're pro-war. They're for censorship. They're not pro-choice. The liberals I know.
Yeah.
They're pro-abortion. They're not pro-choice. Because if they were pro-choice, you'd have to let someone choose to get a mandated vaccine or not. And they weren't for that. They were for mandating it.
Well, I was afraid.
Yeah, that's right. That's what they say.
You could have told
That's
me
what
anything,
my comedian
Jimmy,
friends.
I would have done it.
That's what what's that?
I was so afraid you could have told me anything, and I would have went along.
And to see my comedian friends who came on the show, pro-mandate, couldn't articulate an argument for it.
Are you surprised that people who are
and still wear masks?
Yeah, but look, we're all comedians, but there's comedian and show business, and people that want to get ahead in show business, like, it cannot be surprising that they're like, okay, what is the thing to go? Because you've been before the pandemic, you've been watching this happen for the last how long? 12 years. I've been watching it. I've been watching, and now I know I wanted to believe it was just improvers because they're the yes and people, and stand-ups tend to refuse things more. But no, they're all like, I want to make sure my career is okay, and I want to, because the nightmare would be not having to get a real job, obviously. But they did to all the jobs, and you all went along with it. You're all that desperate to be invited one day. What, on The View? I don't know what you get out of it. I could have been on The View or in good standing. I could have gone to John Legend's Christmas party if you hadn't ruined it with your anti-vax.
Hey, just remember, we'll see you next weekend in Ashland, Virginia, Athens, Georgia, and then Rutherford, New Jersey, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets. Please put that on the front end of all the videos from today.
You know what? I think you should do it again because you have a something behind you.
I have something behind me.
If that's okay, I think you should just do plain.
I think you're right. Hey, we'll see you next week. We'll see you. No, let's see. How do I want to say it?
See you?
Hey, come see us in Ashland, Virginia, Athens, Georgia, Rutherford, New Jersey at the Icarus Festival, and Minneapolis, Minnesota. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. Is there a link for the Rutherford, New Jersey show on our website? Okay.
Jimmy, I was going to tell you, Carolyn, who we had before, she has the PMC class, right?
Yeah.
She has this whole discussion about the lack of transparency at the
really?
UC system. I was watching one of her videos,
Oh,
and she was
really?
breaking down how much they're paying these people that do PR for universities, 6 figures, and you don't need that position.
No.
Yeah, so she might be good to have back on to talk
Okay.
about that.
All right. All
Okay,
right.
here we go. Hannah, sir, I was connected to my work's Wi-Fi and couldn't chat, then connected via my data and can chat now. What the F, Rumble? All right, here we go. They might argue RFK Jr. has a history of supporting Palestinians when he has the power to influence the outcome. Biden and Trump have the opposite record. Zach, SS, red team, blue team, pointless distraction. Unvaccinated guy, Michigan is in favor of Biden because all the Somalis and Nigerians that are moving in. Snuggle struggle, Pennsylvania GOP already caught state employee Elizabeth Dupuy committing electoral fraud. Pennsylvania governance claim the law is in flux. Pennsylvania courts are very clear. Snuggle struggle. SS, I don't need a president, don't need any rulers. I can make my own decisions. No one is more qualified than me to decide for me. SS. Trump and Biden forced vaccines on us. They both are against us domestically. Biden is more foreign wars. Is this Stockholm syndrome? Loving abuse?
Yeah.
And that was unvaccinated guy.
Can you do me a favor and go check and see if I got a grocery delivery?
Our society is codependent. We depend on parent-like figures, authorities to make decisions for all of us. We all need psychological growth. SS. Bioethicist Carl Elliott, new book, The Occasional Human Sacrifice, Medical Experimentation, and the Price of Saying No, regarding whistleblowing. Hannah, sir, 1 of 2. I'm worried about mRNA in meat and veggies. How is this not violating consent? And attention deficit chic. Thank you. Hey, camera 4 beside me, pretty please. Article. Oh, I read that one. Thank you so much. Oh, yep. I won't deny debates are fun to watch at times. Realistically, there's a lot more to it than I can fit in a couple hundred characters. I'll fill you in next time. Misha has us talk politics. LOL, Vienticus.
It's the only reason to watch this debate is
Bill
for the
Maher, more like Bill Murder, Killdozer. Jimmy, if you're going to Oz, you should look up Friendly Jordy's youngish people-centered comedian, YouTube star, journalist, the Canadian
you know what happened to
Ox.
him?
What happened?
That he's good, that guy. Australia's corrupt as hell, and
Yes.
I don't know who they firebombed. They firebombed his house. It's crazy what happened to him. He got into local corruption with the wherever.
Can you put the
Oh.
stuff that needs to go in the fridge in the fridge? There's some dairy. Okay.
I probably should have kept talking, but I was very
I'm sorry.
distracted. Anyway, Friendly Jordy is good, and Australia has a massive corruption problem, and he started talking about it, and then he had some retribution. It's really wild.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, watch this.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit
Isn't it swell? The memes make themselves. They found a rabbi hole, tunnels and all. There's Jews in the walls. Isn't it bliss? The rabbinical grace soiling the mattresses. Well, let me tell you. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, you know, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, you know, the babies that have been murdered, you know, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, you know, money poor people. You know, this government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But you know, something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. You know, we don't really know what war is. You know, for black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, you know, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison, but they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have, you know, people being able to contact their family, if they don't have, you know, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators, and they're going to have riots on their hands. You know, they're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. You know, we have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, you know, what we need, what needs to be done. And, you know, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, you know, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, you know, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, you know, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, you know, this system and those backing the officials running the system, you know, want people to believe that revolution means violence, you know, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. You know, when people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. You know, they get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it. Then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, you know, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. You know, every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. You know, men, women, and children were murdered. And not just move babies, you know. What about all of the young men, women, you know, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, you know, by drug pushers? I mean, you know, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, you know, making a quick buck, you know. I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, you know, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, you know, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. You know, how long are people going to sit back and beg, you know, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years all you've gotten is a slap in the face? All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.